Okay, so this is 5.6 intelligence and how we assess it. The objective for today is that you'll be able to define intelligence and list characteristics of how psychologists measure intelligence by focusing on theories surrounding intelligence. So continuing on from how we think and how we process information, we're going to continue that conversation with how that impacts intelligence. The basics of intelligence that you want to focus on. First of all, you have the definition. Intelligence is a mental ability that solves problems, learns from experiences, and adapts to situations. The current debate in intelligence are a couple things. One, is it inborn? So are we born with it? And can we quantify it? Meaning, can we give an IQ score? Is that really something that we can do? The second debate is there one general type of intelligence? Or are there multiple? So what is general intelligence? General intelligence was developed by a man named Charles Spearman. And essentially what he was saying is that there is this thing called factor analysis. Factor analysis is a statistical procedure that identifies clusters of related items. So in other words, it's an ability to create intelligence is what this was. This was a way to describe intelligence. Now, how he figured this, or what he did with this, was he put this together as what we call a G intelligence, or the G factor. He called it general intelligence, which was also known as the G factor. And the G factor is that if you were scored high, in your factor analysis, that creates your G factor, or your general intelligence. So he said that there was one type of intelligence. Now, not everybody agreed with that, but we'll get to that in a second. Part of that is because of our mental abilities. When we think about our mental abilities, we think about, there's two types of mental abilities. One is fluid intelligence. This is the ability to reason quickly, so logic problems. Younger people tend to be better at this. This is going to decrease as you age. Okay? The key word here is going to be quickly. Okay? Fluid intelligence is something you can do very fast or very quickly. Crystallized intelligence is knowledge that comes with experience. So this increases with age. So older people tend to do better with crystallized intelligence. Like I said, not everybody agreed with the Charles Spearman's G factor with one type of intelligence. And the first one to come up with that was, or the first one to go against it was Sternberg. Sternberg's triarchy theory. He had 3 types of intelligence, saying that there wasn't just one type of intelligence. The first is analytical intelligence. So these are the people that would score high on an IQ test. These are people that tend to have what we call book smarts. The second type is creative intelligence. They might come up with new ideas or novel ideas. And the final one is practical intelligence. And that's what we would think of as required for everyday tasks. Also known as street smarts. So Sternberg said just because you didn't score high on an IQ test doesn't mean that there's not other type of intelligences that you might score well at. Now to take one step further, we had Gardner. Gardner came up with what we know as the multiple intelligences. He has 8. So this is quite a few multiple intelligences. You should write all of these down. Okay. So the first would be linguistic. So this would be like speech and language. For example, somebody in poetry. The second would be logical and mathematical, a scientist. Third, musical, somebody who might be a composer. 4 is spatial, so being able to put things in relative space, which would be somebody like an artist. The 5th is body kinesthetic, which would be somebody who could move very well, a dancer or some type of an athlete. 6 is interpersonal, having an understanding of self, which might be a psychiatrist, for example, Freud. 7 is interpersonal, work well with other people, so leaders, Gandhi, MLK. And then 8 is naturalist, somebody who has a strong understanding for the nature and how things correlate with one another, which might be Darwin. So this is good. These multiple intelligence help explain brain damage. So the idea that you can damage one area, but still have intelligences in other areas. This also helps explain people with savant syndrome. Savant syndrome is a type of autistic disorder where students can excel, or students or individuals can excel that suffer from savant syndrome can excel in abilities that are unrelated to general intelligences. So they may be extremely intelligent in one specific area, but struggle in something like interpersonal relationships. Now, finally, is this idea of emotional intelligences. And emotional intelligence, there's 4 types. There are 4 components. 1, can you perceive emotions? Can you recognize emotions in faces, music, and stories? 2, can you understand emotion? Can you predict emotion, how they change and blend? 3, can you manage your emotions, express emotions in different situations? And 4, can you use emotion? Can you utilize emotions to adapt or be creative? Now, this is highly criticized. Because people think that this is not really an area of intelligence. Emotional intelligence, though, is the ability to perceive, understand, manage, and use emotion. And then finally, intelligence in the brain. How does all this correlate to our brain and what that actually looks like? Well, shockingly, there's a small correlation between brain size and IQ scores. What they have found is people who donate their brains is that there is a positive 0.33 correlation between brain size and IQ. So that the higher your IQ, the larger your brain. And we'll get to why we think that could happen here in a minute. Aging, we do know that as you age, your brain size and IQ scores decrease. Now, does this mean you're not as smart? Probably not. That probably is not what that refers to. But it does refer to the fact that you have more crystallized intelligence and your speed is not there anymore. So it just, as you age, your synapses start to slowly decrease. Excuse me. What we do know is that highly educated people have more synapses. So we know, I don't know if you remember back when we talked, or I showed you that picture about growing the synapses. What we do not know is, do you have more synapses because you study more? So therefore you grow more synapses? Or do you study more because you have them? So that's what we don't know. We don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, or the chicken or the egg comes first. And finally, people who perceive stimuli faster tend to score higher on intelligence tests. So they do this really neat test where they show people a series of lines and then ask a series of questions. And the individuals that score higher on that test tend to have higher IQ scores. So we do think there might be some sort of a correlation between how fast you perceive stimulus and your intelligence.